Verrazano is one of the most brilliant 3-year-olds I've seen in a long time. Also, certainly one of the handsomest horses.
On his day, Verrazano had more talent than any other 3-year-old in his crop. I mean, he was an immensely talented performer.
Anywhere from 6 furlongs up to 1.1 miles, he's been virtually unbeatable.
He crushed good company as well as horses he was supposed to crush. I mean, he's the kind of horse that he could slay him with speed, or he could rate from a little bit off the pace and get the job done just as efficiently.
2013 started off with fireworks because on New Year's Day, Verrazano burst onto the scene with a sparkling display.
Verrazano is running away, coming down to the 16th pole. A very sharp debut for Verrazano. Won it by 6 or 7.
Well, Verrazano in his first 2 starts, it was obviously something very special had arrived. He won those first 2 races by 24 lengths in total. Immediately put himself in the picture as a very, very special horse.
A month later, he was even more impressive, drawing 16 clear of his rivals and earning a 105 Beyer.
He's going to win this one from Brooklyn to Staten Island. Verrazano, very impressive over Eaton Blue.
For a horse to run 1 mile in 1:34.4 in his second start the way he did and went off by himself, he's as brilliant as a horse as we have.
I really stamped him as a horse, 3-year-old to watch as the spring went on.
Next time, in the Tampa Bay Derby, he defeated subsequent Bluegrass Stakes winner Java's War.
But down to the wire, it's Verrazano, and Java's War is charging late. But Verrazano passes a big test. He's a graded stakes winner now.
You look at his earlier races, were so brilliant. And then what he did is that they sent him to Tampa Bay for the Tampa Derby, and that's a very quirky surface. A lot of horses do not handle it. He handled it beautifully. I mean, he won easily again.
Still unbeaten, it was now time to tackle Grade 1 company.
Verrazano tested as he has never been tested before by Vijek. 2 undefeated 3-year-olds into the final 16th of a mile. Normandy Invasion is 3rd, and they're coming down to the finish, and it will be Verrazano.
And when he went to Aqueduct for the Wood Memorial, the track was kind of deep and it was kind of slow, and it wasn't his kind of track, and he had to reach deep down, you know, and find some resolve that he hadn't shown before. So that's where he showed his heart. And there was some good horses in there. Normandy Invasion, it was some terrific horses, and he held off all the closers. So that was a big step forward for him.
The Wood Memorial, he won so easily, and it looked like the quintessential Kentucky Derby prep. Johnny Velasquez just made just enough use of him to win the race without doing too much with him, and it really looked like he was the horse for the Kentucky Derby.
The Wood Memorial was Verrazano's first Grade 1, and you know, he's able to beat a real high-quality field that day. I think the pace was a bit slow, and to me, he's a horse that's always actually better in a more truly run race than that. So it wasn't his most visually impressive performance, but it was still a huge win.
The race that I particularly was struck by was his win in the Wood Memorial. Because while a lot of people wanted to downgrade that race because he went a little slow in the early stages, I thought it was tremendous the way he kicked home strongly and negated the late runs of some very good horses.
Following his first defeat on a sloppy track in the Kentucky Derby, Verrazano wasn't seen again until mid-June, when he proved himself as good as ever.
No competition left today for Verrazano, and he rolls on home to win the Pegasus. Finishing well in the end did Verrazano.
Monmouth Park was perfect for him. It was a firmer surface, which he really liked. He absolutely destroyed his horses in there.
Then it was on to the Haskell, where his Beyer's speed figure of 116 was the highest of any 3-year-old in 2013.
But Verrazano is pulling away, and Verrazano and John Velasquez have blown away their competition. They in the Haskell. Power Broker was second.
There was no better race that a 3-year-old ran in 2013 than Verrazano's Haskell.
To me, the strongest race that any 3-year-old's run this year was in his win in the Haskell. It was, you know, he just blew the field away that day, and it was a monstrous effort.
The Haskell was a spectacular performance, and it was very interesting. The track was an extremely heavy track, deep track that day, and he actually accelerated. He was actually accelerating going into the finish, which you just don't see going a mile and an eighth on tiring dirt tracks.
It was on a deep racetrack, and he still won off. He just crushed those horses. It was, I can't think of another 3-year-old performance that was better than that one.
Well, the Haskell Invitational was, to me, the best 3-year-old performance of the entire year. He beat a good field as easily as a horse could beat them.
Verrazano's phenomenal ability can be explained in part by a very strong pedigree.
It's an interesting pedigree. There's a couple of things. There's the balance of the pedigree is very, very appealing. More Than Ready was a brilliantly fast 2-year-old. One really well-known writer said that he was probably the most exciting 2-year-old to come to Saratoga since Man of War. And then on the dam side, the dams by Giant's Causeway, who excelled both on turf and on dirt at the American Classic distance of 10 furlongs. The next dam is Chic Shireen. She's a Grade 1 winning daughter of Mr. Prospector. She's a sister to champion Older Mare Queena. She's out of Too Chic, a Grade 1 winning daughter of Blushing Groom. And that combination of American speed and European classic influence, it goes back to the next generation because the 4th dam's by Dr. Fager out of a very, very good mare called Menard who won the English Oaks. One of the interesting things about Verrazano was we had picked out his half-brother El Padrino, who turned out to be a Grade 2 winner on pedigree the year before. So obviously we're very interested when Verrazano came up to the sales the next year. And our company, Performance Genetics, we did his cardio, and we took his DNA and did a DNA test on him, and he came back on our report as a potentially elite classic colt. So we were delighted to see what we thought of the genetics and the cardio pan out.
Allied to his raw talent and classic pedigree are Verrazano's movie star good looks.
Yeah, he's a magnificent individual, striking animal, good size, well balanced, and just a gorgeous horse. To me, I mean, what's great is when you have a horse that has the ability that he has, and then they have a mind to go along with it. You know, he's a real high-class individual, very easy to train, minds himself well. Just a classy individual, so it makes my job a lot easier.
Verrazano was physically one of the most beautiful individuals I've ever seen. Just a big solid horse through and through, and a wonderful mover.
He's a striking horse. I mean, he really is. I'm sad to see him go because he's the kind of horse that we love to see on the racetrack. I'm sure he's going to make a tremendous side.